For over 1,000 years, Western civilization has been stuck in a dark age of sexual repression and misinformation. We get an oversexed overload from the media, but nothing in the way of honest, helpful, practical information on sex and how to do it right. That sucks, and I'm fucking sick of it. My name's JV Altheras, and I've spent a couple decades learning everything I can about how to have amazing sex and more of it. Not in a classroom like a lot of people who talk about sex. I learned it all in the gutter, right where Mom told me I'd end up. It's my mission to bring an end to the sexual dark age with brutally honest talk and education on all aspects of sex and sexuality, in an atmosphere that will keep you entertained without treating you like an idiot. Shara and I are not doctors. Certifiable, perhaps, but not certified in any way. And that means we don't have to talk about vaginas and penises to maintain academic credibility. You got a problem with a vagina? Call a gynecologist. You want to learn more about pussies and cocks and how to make them happy? You've come to the right place. Welcome to episode 66. We still wish we were in Cancun.
You mean we're not?
No, well, I would think you could tell that by looking outside, baby.
Oh, I didn't tell you. I put up a picture from Cancun. I covered my whole wall with it. So when I look out the window, I still see Cancun.
That would be slick, but I don't think you've purchased any printing of that nature lately. I think you might be spinning a story.
Oh, you haven't looked out my window at work, have you?
No, I have not. I've been in your office a little bit the last week, but I haven't been looking out the windows.
Yes, thank you. Since I had a death in the family and you were kind enough again to cover while I was gone. So
it's how we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thank you.
You're welcome. So we are pleased to announce that we have confirmed we are going to Catalyst Con East in Washington in March.
Yay.
That is our next official little excursion. We may sneak away for a weekend somewhere in the middle there, but our next official excursion will be March.
I think we should sneak away often.
I think we should.
I do too.
A sex educators conference. A whole bunch of people from Desire are going to be there. I suspect good times may be had.
I know good times will be had.
And that's, 3 weeks before our next trip to Desire in April.
That close.
You guys may have noticed, we like the place. In fact, we are working on, nothing is set in stone yet, but we are working on trying to get a group of rooms down at Desire for next November set aside for listeners of our show, which would be awesome if we can pull it off.
It would be. And after we had our last podcast, I thought about it because I thought it would be a great idea since some of our listeners, they come to us and I don't have enough time with him or her, don't get away. We have kids. Well, guess what? We all have kids, most of us. So there's ways to do it if you plan properly, and there's ways to do it less expensive. I mean, we did shoot the works this last time because...
Oh, absolutely. We could have spent half what we did on that vacation.
Right. But, you hadn't been away in a long time, and...
Oh, yeah.
So...
I still felt we got value for our dollar.
Oh, I definitely feel it.
We certainly did not have to go all the way with it.
I enjoy going all the way. That's just me. So, but I mean, I would encourage any couple that is either maybe struggling or they really enjoy each other to go. And like I said, it's a couple's resort. It doesn't mean that you have to swing if you don't want to, but it's a great time and so many wonderful people. So.
And especially the butlers, right, baby?
Well,
Oh. That's a B for blush. Shara can't wait to get back to her Jorge.
Well, you were the one that tweeted about, wanting to take somebody's pants off, and then you said it immediately made you think of me and Jorge. So, So, of course that's going to...
But did you deny it?
I might have tried to deny it. Like to play that little game. Oh, no. But then my face gets red and, the gig is up.
All right. For our first listener question, we go to Light Knight, who posted a question on the webpage. He says, I'm not sure whether to demote or promote my dick. I'm not planning on being sexual yet, but I've never been sexually attracted to a female. I've been romantically attracted to girls, but not sexually. I only mean those I know in real life, because in pornography I love to see and usually prefer girls, though not always. Is it just my age that I don't lust for the girls in my life? The weirder thing is my lust going to guys, usually my sounding board, whose name I'll not say to protect the guilty. It started when I decided for fun to ask if he had a fetish. He said bondage and domination. After that, my perverted brain had a fantasy of being tied up and teased by his hand until I begged and had a screaming release. I told him over Skype, our usual talk zone, and since he sees himself as bi, he agreed. As time went on, I had another fantasy of us sucking each other off. Again, I told him and he agreed, but only a week before he was supposed to come, Mom found out. My friend was disallowed from contact with me and I lost my parents' trust. I don't know whether to demote my dick or not, as I don't want to screw myself over in terms of happy sexuality and eternally hold Mr. Willie on a 2-inch long rope. What should I do? Please respond on the show. So I'll jump in here first and say to Light Night, it sounds like you are a teenager who is a little confused about what you want sexually, and that's perfectly normal.
Especially at a teen's age, anywhere from 13 to even 19. You know?
Everybody matures at a different rate, and some people are very certain of their sexuality from a fairly early age, and some people are not. So overall, I would say what you're going through sounds pretty normal. You're somewhat attracted to girls in some situations. You're attracted to guys in other situations. I would mostly try to avoid putting a label on yourself and then trying to fit into a label. Society wants us to label ourselves. Society wants to label us, and society also wants us to label ourselves. They want us to participate in it. And it is a choice that you can make. You have to deal with the world around you, but it's a choice you can make how you see yourself.
And I really think it's very important at his age not to label himself or try to figure out exactly, what label you think you are. Just rather enjoy the time while you're trying to figure it out. As you're going along, try to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, so right now it sounds like, you're trying to explore your sexuality. Your parents do not approve of the kind of exploration you're trying to do. And, that may be the case no matter who you wanted to play with, to be perfectly honest. Parents can often be disapproving of their kids doing anything sexually. Mm-hmm. Although, obviously, homosexual play is a special stigma. But, and also considering we don't know where he lives. So if he was in San Francisco, it might not be that big of a deal, but most of the world is not as open as San Francisco. But also an important thing to remember, because I do remember what it was like to be a teenager, and you feel like, you feel like problems are magnified. Right. Because you're still building up life experience, and you're still trying to figure out who you are and what you want to be. I mean, you probably don't have any idea what you really want to do for a living yet. And if you do, you might change your mind in 3 years. Mm-hmm. So you are figuring out how to be an adult. And right now you're doing it in a situation where you have to follow the rules of parents. But to plagiarize Dan Savage's It Gets Better campaign, it does get better. Eventually you will be on your own. You'll be paying your own bills, and you'll be able to live life however you choose it. So, while you are living with your parents, you have to at least put on the appearance of going along with the program in order to keep your life from being especially difficult. And I would just say, don't push yourself in a direction that you are not comfortable going in because you are seeking approval from others. Right. That is never a healthy thing to do. Exactly. Maybe play it cool for a while until you have an opportunity to explore in a way that you're not going to get caught, or, that you don't have so much to worry about with the parents. I agree. I think that he's very level-headed. He understands that he might be bisexual. He might be more interested in men than he is in women, although I think it probably is gearing more towards a bisexual, but once he has the experiences, he'll know, but there's no hurry for that. And I give him a lot of credit because he's searching it out and trying to figure some things out and accepting. It sounds like he's very comfortable. Yeah, well, that's very encouraging. Yeah, it sounds like Light Night is very comfortable with himself, right, which is an excellent sign for you. Right. Because I do think he's probably of a younger age, and that's very good to see such a comfort zone for himself. I wasn't quite sure how his mother found out, whether the
person was supposed to be coming and staying at their house, or
Well, if he's living at home, it could have been as simple as going on his computer.
right. So, I mean, that part may have played a factor because he said the parents lost trust in him. And you know what? To me, there shouldn't have been a trust issue there because he's trying to figure out who he is. So,
Yeah.
no matter what they found out, it's not necessarily that he was doing anything sneaky. I'm sure his father watched porn when he was of a younger age, and maybe not. But I think that the parents not having trust in him, it's something that he's trying to figure out. So you don't necessarily go to your parents for that. It's, so a lot depends on what kind of relationship he has with his parents. I know I didn't go to my parents about my sexuality because they didn't want me to go to them. So, I masturbated at a very early age and
And never stopped.
no, I didn't. So I was okay not having sex at an early age because I was pleasing myself. And who knows, maybe that's what he's doing. I know a lot of young men do that. So I'm just saying that it's okay if they want to feel that way, but don't let that bother you. Don't let the fact that they can't trust you, because honestly, I don't think that should have been an issue for them unless there's something more to the story, because he's finding himself,
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, though, a lot of the world is not very accepting,
right,
in general, to anything that deviates from the norm.
But that shouldn't cause a trust issue. That would be more of a I have concerns, and
Right.
That, I mean, if it were me and my son came to me and said, I think I might be bisexual, I might want to have a conversation with him about it, and not say, well, no, you're not. And I'm not saying that's what his parents did, but, I would want to open that door for him to feel free to talk to me rather than kind of close that door. And that's kind of what it sounded like and
the important thing too, and one thing that can't be mentioned enough is that male bisexuality is a real thing. You don't hear too much about it. It's
right.
It is not even remotely as accepted, even in the mainstream, as female bisexuality, to the extent that a lot of people believe you're just not quite all the way to gay yet.
Right.
But we know, I can assure you, Light Night, we know many, many bisexual guys.
Mm-hmm. Many.
And yeah, and some of them like to play with guys, but they don't have romantic relationships with them. Some of them feel romantically towards guys, but don't like to play with them that much. Sexuality is just such a spectrum. And it sounds like you're off to a really good start at figuring out, being open to yourself and figuring out without feeling shame.
Mm-hmm. Because the most important thing is not to feel shame with your sexuality. And the other thing is not to settle because you might not be what some people call the norm. And when I say that, I assure you that there are plenty of people out there that are as normal as you are with this situation, trying to figure things out. But, overall, people say, oh, no, it's supposed to be a boy and a girl and woman and a man. And you know what? And that's not the case. I mean, we'll take Desire as a prime example of how many different things there were going on there. But the point is that I love the fact that you are comfortable with what you're looking into for yourself and stay that way. Do not let that change no matter what anybody else tells you. Stay comfortable with discovering who you are.
Yep. Don't demote your dick. Just maybe,
promote it.
Yeah.
I say always promote.
Promote your dick, but play it cool.
Yes. Always promote, never demote.
All right, so next up we have Elf, who posted a question about Munch Shyness on the website. She writes, okay, our next question is from Elf, who posted on the website. She asks, how does one gain the courage to attend a Munch? All but one of my relationships have been non-vanilla, but I've never taken part in the BDSM community, so it all comes across as a closed world to me. I am female and based in London, just in case that influences your answer. So this is actually a pretty straightforward question, but there's a couple of angles I think we have to come at it from.
Well, first, I just want to say I'll never forget my first Munch, ever. Yeah. It was not far from my home at all. It was literally like 5 minutes, if that. It was very close. So I was a little nervous because I thought, well, what if I walk in there and somebody recognizes me? Because it was kind of a coffee shop, you know?
Well, yeah, and Munches often are. They're intended to be in low stress, very casual, like Denny's type environments. So my first Munch was at a Denny's.
So I thought, well, gosh, if I walk in and somebody else is there, they're there for the same thing. So why am I feeling that way? And I was very fortunate to hook up with a very good mentor, a female and a male mentor, at my very first Munch. So I was very, very fortunate. But I was scared walking in. I sat in my car for a few minutes, watched a few people walk in, didn't recognize them. So I said, okay, here I go, So I did it all by myself, which normally, as you know, from when you first met me, I'm really actually kind of shy. I know people never believe that, but I really am.
That's why I had to put a sign on my hat to give you 40 kisses at Desire.
So I am. I'm actually very shy. I hate that xylophone as much as the bell. Anyway, but I went in and I ended up, having a relationship with a wonderful couple. When I say relationship, it was all non-sexual because they're my mentors. But anybody that I was going to meet up with, they had to know about them. They had to know the details. So they made sure I was safe. So it was nice though. But now I think it's a lot less scary for people because it was when the lifestyle was really first becoming more of a thing out there than it was back,
Well, yeah, and so
No.
the advantage of a munch is that it is generally munches are constructed around the idea of everything being non-threatening. So munches are generally a very casual, very mellow environment. I would strongly suggest you take a friend with you. It's all about just window shopping and talking to people. There's no play that happens at munches. Usually it's regular casual dress in a regular restaurant or coffee shop. It is not a big event. And munches always have organizers. So generally, if you are a new person at a munch, many people, in fact, may just take the time to say hello to you. Mm-hmm. And it's a good way to open yourself up a little and just meet a few people. And you don't have to talk, you don't even really have to talk kink. It can be a very mellow social gathering. So if you feel a connection with somebody, you feel comfortable talking to them, you can always get into a discussion about whatever you like. And being in London, I've never been to London, but my understanding is London has a thriving fetish community. So you probably have more options than the average person.
Is London social events on FetLife?
Should be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I couldn't remember.
If you want to join FetLife, that's FETLIFE.com, or go to sexualdarkage.com, and at the top right there are links to me and Shara on FetLife. FetLife is kind of Facebook for kinky people. And there are a lot of geographically specific groups. I'm sure that there is a group or a list for London Munches. So you can get an idea of where they're happening and when, and maybe pick one out that seems like it's, the least threatening to you. Because if you've already been in the lifestyle, if you've been in lifestyle relationships, you already have knowledge and experience. Mm-hmm. And the trick is getting yourself comfortable to the point that you can share some of that experience with people who are, when you meet them. Everybody's a stranger when you meet them. But sharing experience on kinking topics, sharing experience on topics that are generally considered by society to be taboo, actually can form some pretty strong bonds with people fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. Because you have some common ground.
Right. So I'd be interested to know how it goes. Let us know the first experience, and and maybe you'll have more questions after.
Yep. Play safe and have fun out there.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, we have something out of the somewhat unusual question department. Cowboy writes, over the past few months, whenever I try to have sex with my girlfriend, she stops me complaining that I stink. Working on a cattle ranch, I admit that I can work up a healthy sweat, and manure does tend to get on me. It has been an issue on occasion. I have showered before I go to see her, slathered on the pit stick, used cologne that used to drive her wild, showered immediately before we get ready to fuck. I even changed my diet in an attempt to solve this odor issue. Nothing helps. But on a recent outing with my buddies to the rodeo, I was complimented on my smell by 3 different women. Yet when I got home, started trying to warm her up, back rub, kisses, all my little tricks to get her in the mood, she stopped me and said I smell terrible. Now I'm concerned and more than a little frustrated. I talked to my doctor and she said the next step is a full body scrub, the type they do prior to surgery. I have asked her what the smell is like, and she shrugs, saying bad. I'm starting to wonder if she's been cheating on me. Advice or comments?
Well, she might be. I mean, it's hard to say. I will say that when I initially read this, that's where my head went, just because there's so many options. I can't believe that when he takes a shower, and he also mentions that she used to like how he smelled. So I think, and it might not be that she's cheating, but there's something going on there in the relationship.
Yeah, there's definitely something up. And just to play devil's advocate, now, he got complimented on his smell when he got to the rodeo, but after the rodeo, he could have worked up a sweat, and he's been hanging around with cattle and horses and whatever.
Well, I don't know if he was working that night, so that's another thing him and his buddies
true.
went to the rodeo.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm not saying you're not right. I'm just saying, did he work that night, or was he just out with his buddies and went to the rodeo?
Now that you say that, I think that's what he meant.
So it'd be interesting to know that, because for himself, if you went out that night and you went to the rodeo and you did not participate in work, but other women found you smelling nice, and then you go home and she says, "Oh, you stink." She's looking for an excuse, possibly, but why? So an honest talk with her is what's going to have to take place.
Yeah, well, and I would come at it from a couple of angles. First, objectively, ask some other people if you stink. If your doctor's recommending a full body scrub, I mean, that seems pretty extreme. I mean, people have been working on cattle ranches as long as there have been cattle. And granted, maybe a couple hundred years ago, nobody was as worried about how they smelled. But I mean, still today, cattle ranchers have women and shit. They hang around with people in polite company. So, I would see if anybody else can confirm that you stink. Also, it's worth mentioning that there are medical conditions that can have a severe effect on a person's sense of smell. In fact, one of them is pregnancy. A lot of women, when they are pregnant, and Shara can probably confirm this, have like super senses. They can have a ridiculous sense of smell.
Right.
But it's not, pregnancy is just a body change from something healthy. But I mean, there are various neurological disorders and things that could be wrong with her. So it may be worth a trip to the doctor for her if she is smelling something that nobody else can.
Well, and sometimes it's a matter of, okay, you take a lilac and, she can smell it from 5 feet away versus he doesn't smell it till he's like 2 feet away.
Yeah.
So
something that's a minor scent could become overpowering.
Because if she can smell it at a further distance sooner than you can, then her senses might be extremely strong. So that's just one aspect of it, but there are doctors that can help her with that, if that is what it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
there's research has to be done,
Yeah. And then obviously, you are not wrong. There is a chance that it's an excuse because she's just trying to keep you at a distance. And if that's the case, then that only gets solved by conversation. You got to force the conversation and find out why.
Right. And maybe it's called a trip to desire. I think some relationships could definitely be saved.
We can't suggest that as everyone's solution from now on, baby. I mean, I know it's going to be tempting, but we can't suggest that as the solution to every problem.
Not every problem. I didn't suggest it at the other two. Just saying, I think a lot of relationships probably come full circle at desire. I really do.
Yeah, but so in closing, I guess to wrap up, see if you can get someone else to confirm whether you do or do not stink, or a few people to confirm, which it sounds like you're probably already. I mean, if you were out with your buddies and you smell horrible, your buddies would not have let it slide.
Right. And if you didn't say anything to the women who complimented you on how nice you smell, if you didn't say, "Oh, my girlfriend or my significant other or my wife
you sniff my pits. What do you think of this?"
Said I smell, like you're looking for somebody to say, "No, you don't smell." So if you didn't do that and just openly these women said, "Oh, you smell really nice," then I definitely think that there's something to look into there. Definitely. Well, I do think there's something to look into no matter what, but whether it's the fact that she's cheating or her strong smell senses, everybody has their senses, and some people have a hearing problem where other people don't. So a person's hearing sense, some people are like, I know several people who happen to be deaf in their left ear. And, I can think of 3 of them. So I hear better than they do because I have my full sense of hearing. So she might have a better sense of smell than most people. Stronger.
Right. Well, he's also saying this is something that has started happening.
Right, because he did say that she used to like how he smelled.
Exactly.
So that's why I go more with something else. Right.
Yeah, something has changed.
Right.
Be it health or attitude or interest in the relationship or whatever. I mean, I would go after the benign stuff first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's about all we got to say on that topic. And Cowboy, we would love to hear how it turns out for you.
Yes, get back with us.
As always, we're happy to hear feedback.
Mm-hmm.
We always like to know if we helped or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that wraps up the 3 questions we wanted to talk about for this episode. So now we got a little bit of housekeeping stuff. Again, we will be at Catalyst Con in March. Washington, D.C. has always been a pretty good market for us, so maybe we'll see if we can set up a meet and greet or something, but at the very least, it will be cool to meet everybody at the conference. Hotel full of sex educators has to be a good time.
Mm-hmm. I still think it's, kind of interesting that it's Washington where all the politicians are. I'm just saying.
Well, we can only hope.
Oh, I know. Okay. I don't have to hope. I know.
If anybody who works at Congress wants to know where the good parties are, give us a call.
Make it anonymous, okay? Because I don't want people, just make it anonymous.
Well, I didn't mean actual congressmen necessarily, but there's got to be people working on their staffs that are looking for a night out. Also, you may have noticed over the last few episodes, we are sans advertising. So we are looking for new advertisers. And towards that end, our podcast hosts are working on helping us find some good advertising content that's relevant to our viewers. So we would like to ask you to do us a favor. There is a very simple, just a few question demographic survey that there's a link to in the show notes and a link to on the website at sexualdarkage.com. And we would be very appreciative if you take just a few minutes to fill it out. And I would just like to say for a moment, because we have gotten some negative feedback, this is a totally vanilla demographic survey put out by a vanilla marketing company. So it does not exactly have a whole lot of inclusive options when it comes to gender and relationship status. So just, pick whatever is the closest thing that you feel describes you. And also they ask you for an email address, but it is totally optional. So feel free to omit your email address. And I think that is just about it. Is there anything else you want to say on this episode, baby?
I don't think so. It's been a hell of a week.
Yes.
So.
Well, we have mostly gotten you your daily spankings.
Yes, thank you very much. I need them to keep me in line.
That is one thing we started doing in Desire, was making sure that she got spankings every day, and we've tried very hard to continue that. We've done pretty well. I mean, the only days you didn't get spankings were days I didn't see you at all.
Right. I think the day of the funeral was one of them. And trying to think of the other. I don't know. There was only 2 days, though. And one was because I couldn't get over here because family kept coming by. So,
right.
So.
We have new floggers.
Yes, we do. And I'm getting, where I can handle them better, So, but, I mean, we kind of got away from the floggers a little bit, you and I.
Yes.
And so I think Desire inspired you. So I'm
extremely
extremely thankful to Desire and to Life on the Swing Set people because, it really has sparked some more fun for us. So, and I'm getting better with it because I couldn't handle thud before.
Yeah.
Thud or sting for too long, and it's getting better because I'm getting more used to it. So
yeah, we're getting you back into being flogged,
and
we did get. I ordered 2 different varieties of the rose floggers.
Right.
with the leather roses on
right.
the tips. And, their Fetish Temple makes a gorgeous version of that. I mean,
yes.
It's much higher end than
right.
what I bought off of Amazon for $40.
Right.
But I am actually kind of glad that I got the cheapos to try first because they really swing very odd. I mean,
they do, don't they?
There's so much weight at the tips.
I can tell when it's hitting me that odd.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know?
because there's so much weight at the tips, I have to be very careful on the swing because it's really easy for it to get away from me.
That's right. We don't want it getting away from you.
But yeah, it's just one more interesting thing to play with and one more interesting thing to take on vacation with us so other people can play with it.
Yes, but I'm really excited about our friend
Oh, yes.
doing some nice leather work for us.
Yes, we are having custom floggers made.
Yes. Not to mention any names out there that's on the priority list.
Yes, we have a dear friend who is badly in need of not a duplication, but
Well, as close to a duplication as possible.
Yes, a functional duplication of my favorite flogger.
I think your idea of, his name engraved on there.
Well, yeah, we're going to personalize it.
I know. I'm saying that's kind of cool and it makes it different.
But yeah, limited run, very unusual, very unique, very awesome floggers.
Yeah, so it's very exciting who knows, maybe we'll end up putting something up on a site for people to purchase because...
Oh, and actually, I didn't even tell you about this yet, Shara.
Shame on you.
Don't look at me like that.
Shame on you.
I haven't had much time to talk to you for the last
Bringing
few
it
days.
up here before you talk to me, you should pause this, Master, and then tell me first. And
Well,
then say,
I
okay.
kind of mentioned it.
Okay.
The gold collar.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah.
You told me all about it. So,
So,
you're in the clear now.
good. Hey.
Now I'm not upset with you.
Doing even better than I thought. So our dear friend who is an artist who is making these floggers for us, we have collaborated on several projects in the past very successfully.
And I just have to stop you for a minute and say he really is an awesome artist.
Yes.
I mean, because it's not just, either paintings or your Ed, the Iron Maiden, right? Ed?
Yes,
Iron Maiden?
Eddie.
Eddie. Sorry. Why did I shortcut it? Beautiful work.
He's a painter, he's a sculptor, he's a leather worker.
Jewelry maker.
Yeah.
I mean, he just is all around awesome, David. All around awesome.
So anyway, somebody called him about a commission. Someone wants to have a solid gold collar made for his slave. And we had recently been talking, in fact, when we had dinner with them last week, we were talking about making a dress collar for you. We weren't sure exactly what yet, but you had asked me to look into getting a dressier, your collar is nice and it's great and we can hook it, we can hook it to something and, you can pull all you want and we can drag you around the room and all the rest of the shit that you like, but it's not dressy.
I'd like something that when we're out in public, I always wear it.
Yeah. And that was, and I thought that was a very reasonable request. And the cool thing is, we may have the opportunity. He asked me if I would collaborate with him, on the mechanics because he knows I'm a mechanical designer. And
No, really?
knows the range of the other stuff that we do. So yeah, it could be a great project, and we may end up being another, not necessarily gold, but dress collars made in maybe brass or silver, stuff that is not ridiculously expensive per ounce.
Right. So be fun. But anyway, very talented man.
Yes.
Very talented. So I'm very impressed with his work all the time. Besides the fact that I just love him and his wife. They're just adorable.
Yeah. So exciting stuff. Stuff.
Very exciting. So.
And we are going to have Ginger and the Prof on sometime soon to talk about switching.
Yes.
Ginger is a switch and Prof Dom's a switch. So we should be able to have, we had a listener who requested a show on switching and I think they are the ideal people.
Oh, so do I, because I'll tell you what. It was very exciting to watch him dom her. I'm sorry, Ginger. I hope that I'm getting goosebumps just saying that. It was very, it was very exciting to watch because I'm not a switch, but I'll tell you what, I am turned on by switches because I think that they have to have this like really good balance. Like somebody came into the restaurant at Desire and I wanted her to do something. I think flog him or something. And then she came back to the table and she had to be a submissive. And she was starting to put that switch hat on. And she even brought that up in conversation because he had talked, I think it was flogging. I could be wrong. She'll tell me.
Whatever it was.
But
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was flogging. And so her mind started going into that dom space. And then she comes back to the table and there's her dom staring at her. And I love the power exchange between them. It is, I'm getting goosebumps even talking about it. It is so awesome to watch. They're lovely people to begin with. But besides that, to watch that is a turn on for me. So anyway, that's all. I'm going to be quiet now. Let's end this.
How wet is your pussy right now?
Let's not talk about that. It's very wet. Okay. Okay. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
That's Shara's latest out of control blush for the show. Yeah, you just want to get fucked, don't you?
Let's just go. Let's just end this program. Everybody, it was nice chatting.
Thus we come to the end of episode 66.
Okay, go ahead and do the regular.
As a favor to my slave. So if we always love to hear from our audience. You can find us, search for Ending the Sexual Dark Age on Facebook for our Facebook page. Find us on Twitter. She's here spinning her finger going, wrap it up.
Faster.
JVAuthorus at gmail.com, at JVAuthorus on Twitter. Sharabono at gmail.com. Feel free to reach out to us anywhere you can. We always love to hear from our audience. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send them in.
Well, finish. Let's get out of here. You didn't finish. And as always,
this is JV and Shara reminding you that sex is one of the greatest things in life, and there's always room for better.
Always. Let's go practice.